up, every single person here? How are you doing? Happy Friday. It is Friday indeedy. And guess what? We have a kickoff coming up, and I cannot wait. Look, it is our first legitimate test. How do we look without 4 of the 8 or 7, depending how you look at it, crucial positions that we are missing? We will talk about it, but how's everybody doing? I'm doing well, in case you were concerned or worrying or wondering. Having a beautiful Friday. A little cold. The cold rolled on in here in El Paso, Texas last night. So we are getting chilly. I may have to throw my jacket on in just a little while. But how's everybody? I hope you are too blessed to be stressed on this Friday. We are on the precipice of a weekend. And at the beginning of that weekend is Tottenham Hotspur at the Molineux. We'll be back in the Navy away kits. The most beautiful away kits in the league, in my opinion. But hey, we move. How's everybody? I see a bunch of y'all already in the chat, so let's get to it. Look, I've got one guest already here, a second guest that is going to be showing up later. I believe so, but if not, hey, we rock in, we move. But I've got a beautiful host of things to talk about today. Obviously, we have to preview the match. We have to talk about goals and goal scoring and form and et cetera, et cetera. We've got a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to spend too long trying to do this intro here. I just wanted to say hello, happy Friday. And the most thing that is important is I hope you are well, safe, warm, fed, and loved. And you know what? Go and get a hug right now from somebody near you. If you got somebody near you, tomorrow's 11/11, the day in which we should all make a wish. And I want that wish to be Tottenham Hotspur getting the dubs. We'll see. We'll talk about it. But big up. Welcome into episode 91 of the Untitled series here on United Spurs of America. Hit that like if you are live. If you are watching on playback, please do hit that like if you don't mind. Partake in the poll. The question for today. I see 35 votes and only 13 likes. What are we doing here, folks? But hey, that's the life we're choosing to live. But the question of the day is, what are your predictions for Wolves tomorrow? 65% says Spurs will win despite the setbacks. 19% says Spurs draw, with 14% saying Wolves will win, as Spurs are too weak now. They're saying we're too weak now. That's what they're saying in the poll. And then 3% says VAR bails out, Spurs likely. I put that as well. I gave two answers for the folks that want to, believe that Tottenham can't get it done. But hey, we'll see. We'll talk about it. We will get through it. But big up everybody in the chat. Without further ado, I'm not going to let this man wait backstage for too long, because he is like, you just have to bring him to the foreground every single time. So let's welcome in Kuva. How are we doing, my friend?
Doing very well, thank you, Jacob.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Yeah, it's been a bit of a week, hasn't it, really? We're looking to bounce back from, let's face it, it was a beating, but we lost fair and square. It's time to man up, get back on the saddle, and see what we can do with what we got left, because we know we've got a depleted squad now. We're missing some very big players, but it's a team game, and all of these players have been training with Big Ange's tactics from the start of the season, so it shouldn't be anything that's strange to any of the players coming in, should it? Let's just see what we can do. I'm always going to stay on the positive side till it's absolute crisis. This isn't crisis at the moment. This is difficult. This is a difficult time. It's the first, like as he said, it's the first testing period for us. But
well, I mean, I was going to take a little time before really diving into it, but let me ask you, you said the word crisis. Now, I gave Arsenal a little bit of grief early on in the season, because after we gave them that work at their own home and got the draw, which if you're if you're competing for the Premier League, you shouldn't be getting a draw at home, in my opinion. But we did do that, and then after that match, Arsenal started saying, "Oh, it's injury crisis time at our club." You used the word crisis just now, so let me ask you off the top: You're saying, are we not in an injury crisis right now? 4 out of, how many would you say key positions when you look at our ideal starting 11? How many of those are? You take one of those Jenga pieces out, the whole tower comes crumbling down. Now, I thought Basuma was one of them, but I guess maybe we can take that off because Højbjerg did come in and we got the win. But where are you at? This isn't injury crisis time yet? I haven't gone with that headline for a show. So
for me, injury crisis would be if we got defenders out and there aren't any to come in. That would be a crisis. I mean, you're having to play like wingers at fullback and midfielders as your centre half. So we're going with unfancied or out of favour players, some that haven't started a game until they came on against Chelsea. We're going to be starting with the likes of, I'm thinking, no matter what we think of him, I think Mr. Dyer is going to be starting tomorrow. But let's face it, there have been games in the past where he's played quite well for us. I'm not going to deny that about him. There's been an awful lot more where I think he's been shocking, but you've got to look on the positive side. He's been training with the squad. He's fit. That's something. That's something a lot of the others can't say at the moment. And he's not suspended. So let's see what he can do. For me, we're missing 4 major pieces of our jigsaw, which is big. It's big. But I look at the other players that we've still got in there. I look at Porro and how well he's played this season. If he stays a little bit further back than normal for tomorrow's game, acts as that sort of pace at the back sort of player, with Vicario now showing what a great sweeper keeper he is. You put those two together, you kind of meet up somewhere. You cover that distance. I think, for me personally, it's keeping the likes of Bissouma, Sarr. As much as people don't rate Kulusevski at the moment, he's a big part of us winning the ball in the opponent's half.
That's a good point.
He's still going to be there. He's still going to be there. Sonny's still up front. Brennan Johnson's came in and did look really good. He's going to be available. We have got ways to score goals still. It's just without Maddison, it's going to be tougher. And obviously, the big concern's the defence, because as far as I'm concerned, when we were top of the table, it was built on that partnership at the back with Vicario behind them. Because when we weren't at our best attacking-wise, they defended really, really well. And I'm thinking games like the Luton one in particular. So I think we have got ways to deal with it. I mean, for me, if you're weak at the back, you pack the midfield with your quality players and stop the opposition from making those easy passes. With 11 players on the pitch, I think we should be really good at that. So I'm looking at actually playing really a bit of a risky tactic for a lot of people, but makes sense to me. And that I'll play Dyer as the lone centre back, and I'll tuck Porro and Emerson alongside him to make a very narrow back three of sorts, but two playing as wing backs. Well, not wing backs, just full backs. So they're very much defensively minded. But then I'll put Højbjerg and Bissouma straight in front of Dyer. So they're more advanced, and they will help to press the ball in the opponent's half. But they're also on hand to help out at the back when needed. So it's a kind of 2 defensive midfielders in there. But then that allows Sarr and Bentancur, for me, to push forward and join up with the attacks and try and make up for that big hole left by Maddison. Now, if we can do all that, that's quite an attacking setup still. I'm putting faith in the fact that we have got Vicario playing an absolute blinder, and he looks like one of the best signings we've made in decades, I'd say. If he carries on with that, and we're sensible with Porro and Emerson, knowing they've got defensive duties, they can't just slot into those midfield roles like we've been seeing, I think we can work our way around it. Phillips could certainly come on. That's an option as well, and play 4 at the back anyway. But I have this strange feeling Ange might want to keep him on the bench, because if we start all of these players and they get tired out, there's literally nobody left on the bench that we can bring in some of these positions. True. So I think it might be a safety thing. It might be a case of try and play our aggressive attack-minded football, get a bit of a lead up when we need to see the game out. Perhaps that's when Phillips comes on. Perhaps we drop off just a little bit. We're not going to drop off totally, because we know what Ange says all the time. But we did it against Luton. When we needed to go into a bit of a defensive shape, we did. Still find a way to score a goal. That's what we do.
That is, I think, the most unique approach, I think, to this problem that I've heard thus far. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here, Kuva, but I like it. I'm not seeing a lot of flaws in it. Do I think that is going to be the case? Maybe. I kind of love the uncertainty right now. It's like, what do we get behind mystery curtain number 1 or 2 or 3? Which one does Ainge choose to open the curtain to, and which one do we get it? Because for me, Kuva, I'm really feeling like whatever we're dealt, I'm going to be watching at 5:30 in the morning my time. So shout out everyone. West Coast got a little bit worse. They're going to be 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. for that. But look, without giving too much more away.
I'm always so full of admiration for you guys who get up at crazy times in the morning to watch these sorts of games. And I just think when we put on a performance, even like the one against Chelsea, where it's down to 9 men, and we know the game's virtually over at that point anyway, but just put in a shift, put in a performance, something worth cheering. So everybody watching, everybody at the ground, everybody watching on TV and giving up hours of their time to watch these games, you got something to back. That's what matters more than anything else to me. Have a bit of passion in the team. We always call out for that, but I think we've got quality to go with it. And I think we've got a way of playing football that's going to get more and more exciting as we get better at it. So, yeah, you could say it's a very unusual take for me on how to play the game, but at the end of the day, formations are just little names on a bit of paper, aren't they?
It's really for the graphics team and the production team on broadcast and folks like us who create content. It's really for us because we want to visually represent what we think this is going to look like. And I like the website that I use for the lineup. Paul Beatty and I, Hotspur Hippie, shout out. We made our. Yeah, you were helping us create the back line there because we were kind of shuffling pieces, and I was operating off the assumption on that episode that Maddison was going to play because he left a game earlier on in the season in a walking boot in one of those little wheelie carts, and so he still played. So for me, I really felt like he was still going to be able to play. But it turns out that this is actually a lot more serious, and we're not going to see him for the rest of this calendar year, which is quite unfortunate news to wake up to. That's what I woke up to this morning. It was quite. That's like, who wants to read that shit when you wake up?
I'm quite stoical about it because I'd like to think that when you're in times of disaster or crisis, however you want to look at it, that's also a time for opportunity. It's also a time for those things you never expect to happen to be forced upon you. And sometimes they come out. Sometimes you get these little gems come out from the rough. Perhaps that's what we'll see with the Phillips. Perhaps that's what we'll see with perhaps Dyer takes to playing in this way, as crazy as it sounds and as mad as we all are about saying that he's terrible. And I'm with you. I couldn't stand the player. I wanted to get rid of him, but maybe they do step up. Maybe they find a way to make it work. I think Dyer's got much more chance of playing the role now because of what we saw with Vicaria. We've got a genuine sweeper keeper. That is a massive bonus. It means his lack of pace, there's ways of recovering around it. Like I said, if Porro and Emerson play a more conservative sort of wing fullback role, concentrate on the defending side of it, we can have the pace and the athleticism at the back there to cover a few things. But for me, it's with Ange's system, for me, as far as I'm concerned, we've got to maintain that high press. We've got to maintain putting as much pressure on the ball as possible and winning it back in their half. And that's where we've been at our best. And that makes the back line almost irrelevant in those terms. So I'm more concentrating on what we do ahead of them.
Kuva, that's a great point that you hit on because I feel like you're really hitting on a lot of good points, and we're 15 minutes into the show. So like some sweet Laffy Taffy, I'm going to elongate this a little bit, but there is something that you mentioned that I absolutely want to address, which is the fact of this may be a tattered, a MacGyver. Is that the name? The show, the MacGyver, where you just put paper clip with a piece of bubble gum and a piece of tape, and then all of a sudden now he's got a pistol. And
that was the A-Team as well, wasn't it? Like that,
the A-Team, yeah. You just taking knick-knack paddywhack and you put it together and you got something to work with. And I think while that is an aspect that I want to explore, for me, I think the first line of defense is the front line. those three players up front applying the pressure, and like you said, winning the ball in their half, or right there on the midline. If we can maintain a physical enough press, I think we should still be able to get the win, because at the end of the day, they got to get through the forward line, the midfield, and then it falls back on the clown show that we got going on back there, whether for better or worse.
Also, with Maddison missing, and he is going to be a huge miss, let's not deny it. He's been absolutely brilliant for us this season. But with my idea of packing the midfield, I'm looking at Sarr and Bentancur being the box-to-box players, and it will take the two of them to make up for the Maddison lacking there, because Bentancur and Sarr have both got a very good pass on them. It's not quite that genius level that Maddison's bringing, but they are capable of threading through a through ball or a killer pass into the box. I think
Sarr switches plays so well. He did that at the Palace goal and a few goals in the build-up play.
He's been massively underrated this season, I think. I think his passing's been absolutely brilliant. Bar a couple of games where it's been a bit off. He struggled a little bit with Chelsea, but for some reason we're down to 9 men, weren't we?
They're gonna be like that every week. But Kuva, before we keep going, I do want there's something we need to acknowledge off the top, which is first and foremost, shout out everybody here in the chat. Over about 80 of y'all right now between the 3 different destinations that we are streaming to right now. So big up everybody who's here within the first 20 minutes of the show. That means a lot. I will be saying what's up to the chat in just 1 second, but I would be remiss. Is that the word, Kuva? Remised?
Depends what you're trying to say.
If I did not mention the fact that our manager has successfully done the three-peat. That is correct. August, September, October, they all belong to Ange Postecoglou. And I'd be remiss. Yes, Jazz Fusion, my smart chatter. Jazz Fusion, I think, is one of the low-key smartest people. They always say stuff. I said it yesterday, Kuva. Jazz Fusion in the chat always says stuff sometimes I think too clever for me to even catch. And I'm like, I feel like...
He's sharp. He's definitely sharp.
Yes. Yeah. And so big up Jazz Fusion. Big up everybody in the chat. But hey, we're going to need some dubs in the chat as well, because Ange Postecoglou, 3P Managers of the Month award from the Premier League. And that's not a popularity contest, folks. That's like genuine vote. The player one, you could say, yeah, that's a popularity contest. But successfully, Ange Postecoglou becomes the first coach to ever win the Premier League Manager of the Month in the first 3 months of the season. So I believe Jurgen Klopp did 3 Managers of the Months, but it was like in the middle of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas Ange Postecoglou, off jump, meet me at the lobby is what Ange Postecoglou said, because first 3 months belong to the Australian. What does that say to you? Does it say anything at all, or is it just a reflection of really what we've been seeing manifest right before our eyes?
For me, it's the start of the mounting evidence that he's the real deal. As he said, nobody's done that before at the start of the season. The very fact you have to talk about Jurgen Klopp winning it 3 times in a row shows the kind of company he's in. Now, when you apply that to what's happening with our team at the end of last season, where we've dispensed with a manager, we've got question marks over director of football, no manager, star striker just leaves in the summer. We're in absolute turmoil, playing dreadful football, negative football that no chance of attacking anywhere, can't even defend either. We're going absolutely nowhere, and the fact he's turned it around in such quick time, taken us to the top of the league. Okay, we're a point behind now, but we're still doing pretty damn well. The fact he's managed all of that in such time and playing with a cavalier attitude of, take the game to the opposition. None of this sitting back. Let's go and attack. Let's have some fun with stuff. And he's bringing the fans on board as well, saying, yeah, we should dream. It's up to the club to match the fans' anticipation and the fans' dreams, isn't it? They've got to live up to it. And he's challenging everybody around him to come up to his standards. So far, they're doing a pretty good job at it. I think he's fully deserves any plaudits he does get. I think he deserves those managers of the month. He's going to struggle for November, isn't he now? But you never know. You never know if other teams don't win all their games either. And but that then becomes a question of, Do managers get given the award?
Everyone would lose their mind, Kuva, if we just get how many games are even left? Because we got an international.
2 more because there's an international break. So we've got Wolves and Villa. But imagine they're 2 huge wins or something. What are they judging the manager of the month on? Is it the circumstances or is it just looking at the wins?
That's a great question. I don't know.
They tend to look at the wins.
No, that's a great question. I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking. There's only 2 matches we have in November, which is the one coming up tomorrow, international break, and then November 26th on Sunday, Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on circumstances and what a manager's doing for a club, then I would have thought the likes of Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth should have been winning it on a regular basis. Playing with that tiny squad, no big names, and managing to keep them in the Premiership all the time. It's a hell of an achievement. If Luton stay up, it'll be a hell of an achievement. Will the manager get manager of the month or manager of the year? Nah, of course not, because they want to look at the teams at the top. It's where all the money and the glamour is, isn't it? It's the top of the table, winning trophies. That's what it's always going to be about.
That is absolutely true. But before we keep going, I would also be remiss if I don't say hello to everyone in the chat. So without further ado, let me say hello to everyone. But while I do that, make sure you're hitting up the likes. I see 72 votes and 47 likes. The ratio is quite disparaging. But what's not disparaging is the fact that everyone's here regardless. But big up to everyone who is watching on whatever platform it may be. Back to doing a little bit here on the simulcasting of Jacob TV and the Twitch. So if you're watching on Jacob TV, big up yourself right now. Look, the poll is still resounding 64%. It says Spurs are going to win tomorrow versus Wolves. I don't want to delve too much into. I want to wait till my second guest is here until we start really predicting Wolves heavy. So I got a few things news-wise that we can talk about. I have starred saved up, and I want to get Kuva's opinion on. But big up to Kate with Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. Says, big up Jacob, first one here, double first place prize. Nate Pye is in the house. Nate Pye, big up. He plays pro clubs with me and TJ Warren. So,
nice.
Yeah, last night, me, TJ Warren, Flawless from Sarcasm City TV, and Nate, we had a good little session. So a lot of fun. Big up, Nate. Hope you're doing well this Saturday. Good morning to everyone in Australia, and good evening to those of you who are watching or listening in the UK. And then, of course, obviously, good afternoon for those of you here in America. But big up Nita as well. Good to see you here in the house, Nita, every single time. Always supporting the show. Big up yourself. Mark Cook is here. How are you doing, Mark Cook? Roderick Matherin. That is a new name, I believe. Wolves nil, Spurs 3. First comment, only comment I've seen. And, hey, predicting a Spurs win, so I like the vibe. David Calvino's here. Big up Jacob. Everyone in the chat. Spurs Psych. How are you doing, Spurs Psych? Donovan. How are you doing, Donovan? Good to see you here. Darren D'Souza says, big up Jacob. Big up Darren. How you doing? Big up Faisal as well in the house. Donovan's dancing on a Friday night. I like to see that. El Tel Cocarel. Go make sure to check him out with Colin Talking Ball. They're doing daily regular streams, so make sure to go check out Talking Ball with Call. Jay, love this intro. Gotta say, big up Jay. Some people have been commenting randomly lately about the intro and the countdown, which it's been like that for quite some time, but I'm glad some people like it. I, for one, I haven't gotten tired of it yet, so that's why I keep doing it.
Yeah, it sets the mood. It's a nice build sort of intro, isn't it? Yeah.
Get you. You know, I feel like the countdown is to get you into the dimension of, you know what I mean? Like, what are those like Star Trek or Star Wars where they're going through the Milky Way all super fast? That's what I feel like the countdowns. The vibe is, and then the intros to get you ready for the show. So big up, Jay, appreciating that intro. There's something on my screen right there. Drunk Vigo's here. Big up. Always, Liverpool fan, always giving me grief everywhere I go, but giving me, I know it's grief wrapped in love, honestly. Jason Bell's in the house as well. Big up Jason Bell. Big up Zapur. Thanks for bringing the bad news, Jacob. Yep, I woke up to it. Shout out Beyonce, but I woke up like this. I woke up with that bad news in my face, so it wasn't very fun. Big up Cursor. How you doing? Haters in the house from Beer Talk. Evening all. How are you doing? Chelsea Blue and Blue. How are you doing? Smash the likes. Steady as Shark is in the house. How are you doing? Steady as Shark. Cal L Agent says, hope you're both good. Weirdly feel we're going to get fucked over for some reason because of the 2 recent Wolves pins. I seem to think two wrongs do actually make a right. Kuva, are you concerned? I made it an option in the poll. Real quick, are you concerned at all about VAR and the fact that maybe the whole world's now watching and they feel like they got to get it right every single time and it could end up leading to mistakes?
Absolutely. You know full well I'm bitterly opposed to VAR. Always have been. Always will be. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, they're trying to make sort of retroactive corrections to the mistakes they made, aren't they? It's not a good look. The games are ruined because of it. There's just nothing good happening about this whatsoever. I think if they're going to have technology at all, I'm quite okay with having this idea of an instant offside decision, so you don't have to waste any time whatsoever. It's just there. The goal line technology one has obviously proved its worth, and that's easy as well for the three. It's the only two you need. The rest of it. Why take all this time super analyzing the tiniest little detail? It's just not worth it. The game's more important than these niggling little. It becomes a subjective decision based on technology. The technology hasn't made the decision. It's still human error. So
yeah, the thing we know about humans is every human's going to make a mistake, and just because you put a fancier piece of technology in front of that human will not negate the fact that there is a dependent variable, a constant, if you will, that is human error. Operating technology doesn't negate the fact that it's like me playing a video game. Just because I'm now able to play the video game doesn't mean I'm going to play it well or play it the right way. I just think it needs to be looked at. I still like technology for what it is, being a part of the game, because the goal line technologies, I mean, obviously that one goal, the very famous highlight, it was about 2 feet beyond the goal line. The guy scoops it out and they said no goal. So, I mean, these things happen. That's human.
I remember back when we played Liverpool, and obviously there was that disallowed goal controversy. I do remember being in a minority where I said, I'm going to back Liverpool on what they're saying, because at the end of the day, it could force them to ditch this ridiculous system that's ruining everything. So I was happy to sort of, I was hoping we'd kind of throw our weight behind it as fans and just say, look, it's wrong. But of course, we went into tribal mode and just said, ha, tough luck, Liverpool.
I did. I know I did. Everywhere I went, shout out Hassan with This Is Football. Shout out Staffy TV. I was going everywhere, and everyone's like, have some shame, Jacob. Have some shame. I said, fuck your shame. I'm out here having a great time. I don't care. We just do Liverpool. Shout out Joe Matip every single time.
Yeah, it's like with that Man City, Champions League quarterfinal, wasn't it, as well, with the VAR decision to rule out the Sterling's last minute goal, and when it works for us, it's okay. But
there's many times that I remember all the times it didn't work for us, and so when those things do go our way, that's why I don't have any shame about it, because no one had shame for me when Lucas Moura fell over from a foul. He fell over from a foul, hits his arm, and in the continuation, it goes to Harry Kane. He scores a goal, but they said no goal, and we ended up losing that fucking game because of VAR, and no one cared then.
Sissoko's armpit being guilty of handball.
His armpit. Do not get me started on the armpit trophy of the Champions League. But thing I will get started on is big up Mia with Spurs. Between the lines. How are you doing? 5
with Mia.
I try to, sometimes put a little, a little razzle dazzle. You know what I'm saying? A little sprinkle of something.
You're trying to be a little bit. What's the word? Sassy? No, that's not it, is it? It's got sassy would do. Sassy would do.
Sassy?
That's more of a bad thing, isn't it?
No, sassy's more like girlfriend, where I feel like I'm being more of like rant. I don't know. I just do that sometimes. Like I'll be like, shout out Dave, big up Dave. I don't know, just like a drop it down a level. You know what I'm saying?
There's a little bit something wrong with you, sort of thing.
Big up Mia. But she hit us with the first super chat of the day. Big up. She says, I'll catch the rest tomorrow, but big up to you both. Unless you were on at 6 a.m. my time playing computer games. LOL, time for players to step up. Of course. Good morning, Mia, if you're watching this now in the morning. Hope you have a good cup of coffee. Hope the kids are doing good. Hope your brother Jack is doing good as well. And then I hope you are doing well. And hopefully we're about to get this dub as well. Hopefully you're waking up for us about to get this dub, because I think that's going to be the case. But big up, Mia. Thank you so much for the dono to the channel.
No,
I might be on tonight playing some games.
It's if you're on at Mia's time tomorrow, because she's on the same time as me. So we're 10:40 at night at the moment.
Yeah. So she gets up very early. And I was playing FIFA and we were streaming it last weekend, I think it was. And Mia was like, what the fuck are y'all doing away? Go to bed. And we were like, just being goofballs on a video game. So, hey, if you want to see that, it's over on Jacob TV. That's where I streamed video game content. But big up, Mia. Thank you so much for the dono to the channel. Let me continue to say, at least, hello. Wow, the chat's actually flying through. I have to scroll way up. But big up, everybody. I want to make sure I say hello. How are you doing? I left off with Cal. Big up Daniel E's in the house. Jason Bell. Bobby K is in the house. See, I don't know. Like when I also your name as well. Like there's certain names that I feel like lead me into doing it. Like big up Kuva. You know what I mean? Maybe that's like a boat horn. Yeah, it does. You know.
Oh, it reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons. I don't know if you.
I always watch The Simpsons. Which episode?
Doing Homer's doing the soothing sounds of the ocean.
Yeah.
From Marge.
Yeah, I know that. Homer's one of the greatest fictional characters ever created. But big up Mountain Bush, man. I see now I'm thinking about it every time I do it. Big up Mountain Bush, man. Hope you're doing well. This is big up Jacob. Big up Ren. Good morning to you both. Says big up, big guys. How you doing? Rowan Kumar's here. How you doing, Rowan? Good to see you here in the chat. Letty. Hi, Jacob and Kuva. Hello, Letty. How you doing? Kuva, as usual, with the facts. Vindaloo's in the house. Arsenal supporter says Spurs 2 weak now, but still should beat Wolves. Lucky no Neto. Would be a different story with Neto. Look, I said this on another stream that I was on, that personally I would always prefer that all the teams have healthy players, because then we get the best product, which is their best 11 versus our best 11. That's going to give you the best product as a viewer, as someone who digested things. So for me, while I'm like, that is good that Neto's not there, I would prefer to see him out there, because I don't want us to, get the easy route to these dubs. I'd rather see the best players go against us. And that's how we see them.
I agree. Anyway, lucky if Neto's still injured. I'd look at it the other way around. They're lucky we've got so many missing.
They are very lucky, because that is now at least making it a conversation of could they get a result, because of look at how many key players are missing for Spurs. First and foremost, that being James Maddison. I mean, look, the loss of James Maddison, I don't think can be overstated. That is, look, we said this at the beginning of the season, Kuva. I think you and I said it, Paul Hotspur Hippie, we've said it, that when you look at our starting 11, I counted 7 to 8 positions that if it's somebody else, we look a lot different. And to me, that's what I'm going to characterize as a crucial or a key player. James Maddison, and when you try to rank it, it's very hard. But I first and foremost, I just look at the lineup. I say, Son, you take him out, we look a lot different with Richarlison. And then without Richarlison now injured, without Son, we really look a whole lot different. So we need Son and bubble wrap at the Molyneux. We need him to ball out, but we need him to be safe.
Hell, if we get everybody injured, we're going to find it really difficult.
That's what I'm saying. We're when you're hiking and you're kind of like going down the mountain, and if you get going too fast, shit just roll. And we're at the point where we're like, it's time to try and slow this down. But we need Son to ball, and we need him to stay fit. But looking at the 11, the players,
we're kind of on that backward leaning but sliding down at the same time.
Yeah. Michael Jackson music video. I don't remember which one that was, but look, I'm saying Son Maddison, Basuma, Van de Veen, Romero, Vicario, and Udogi. That's 6.
Porro, I'll put in the same
and
bracket.
Porro. That's 7. 7 players.
And the way we play, and despite the fact people don't rate him, I'd actually put Kulusevski in there. He's very important in the way we play by winning the ball in the opponent's half. That's the bit that gets always looked over.
8 key position. So really, it's just left winger and Sarr. But see, even Sarr, we don't know that Bentancur can come in and do what Sarr has been doing. We don't know. We haven't seen it yet.
A fit Bentancur, he definitely can. He was doing it before he got injured, wasn't he? He was, I'd argue, our most outstanding player until he got injured.
He was. Well, I mean, I guess aside from Harry Kane, but I agree.
Who?
Oh, yeah. Who is that guy? I don't know him. Big up Jazz Fusion as well. Big up Andy Wynn, giving us who he thinks is going to be back there from a rival standpoint. Says Pedro Porro, Eric Dyer, Ashley Phillips, and Emerson Royale. The only problem I see with this, Andy, is, which big up Andy, big up any rivals in the chat. Hope you're hitting the like. Big up, appreciate you being here. The reason why I don't see Ashley Phillips and Eric Dyer is because they both are going to occupy that right center back position, in my opinion. Eric Dyer's right-footed. So is Ashley.
Emerson Royale was going to be playing on the left anyway.
That's a good point. At this juncture,
we've got problems.
I'm saying at the left center back, Ben Davies. I'm thinking Ben Davies or Højbjerg at the left side center back, and then Ashley Phillips as the right-sided center back.
If
for
Ben
the
Davies
academy,
plays,
real quick, Ashley Phillips has occupied that right center back role, and then also drifted as a right back.
I'd argue if Ben Davies does play the left-sided centre-back role, which I think he's okay at, he's steady at it, but he definitely needs a player with pace alongside him, whether it's the fullback or whether it's his defensive partner. So Davis and Dyer together, no, not with unless Emerson's staying back all the time to babysit him. Maybe that could work, but then what's the point? Why might as well just play Emerson there?
You know, it's interesting. My wife did just text me and said, "Hey, you're a little loud today. Your son is sleeping and he keeps getting startled. Please don't wake him up." So I'm going to try and calm down. I think I was getting a little excited there, Kuva. I don't know, but I was getting loud. The wifey told me to shut the...
Yeah, you're just going to have to keep it quiet.
Sorry. I'm going to try to keep it down. Big up Kai Bike. Key Bike in the house. How are you doing? Charlie Moondog is in the house. Charlie Moondog. See, I do it with Moondog as well. Bogosian's in the house. Bogosian, how are you doing? We are suddenly a mid-table team for some time, and results will reflect that. I'm okay with it. It's temporary. Do you think that we are now a mid-table team with all this ruffling and shuffling of the formation?
No, I don't. I think, like I said, you can look at it as it's a crisis, or you can look at it as, the huge difficulties at the moment, or, the absolute, the worst case scenario, or you can look at it as opportunities for other players that haven't had a chance yet in this season. I'd prefer to do that and say we can find ways around it, because that's what we've been doing all season. And that's the only time we really had a problem is when we go down to 9 players, but who doesn't have a problem at that point? So I think this is the test on Big Ange. Let's see what we can do. And I believe in the way that we play and that incredibly aggressive press. I don't see why we can't carry on with that press and cause problems still. Because despite Maddison's brilliance, it's been so much of our goals have come from winning the ball early and high up. And if we keep doing that, it's going to cause problems. It's not like the likes of Bentancur and Sarr are unable to pick out a player in the box. So you just have to be a bit more patient. Perhaps those little moments of brilliance may be missing, or somebody else may come up with them. Who knows? Brennan Johnson certainly looked lively. We haven't seen much of him yet.
That was a very unfortunate aspect of the way things transpired, Kuva, which was the fact that Sorry, I'm trying to position. I'm like, maybe if I position myself this way, I can still talk without trying to be too loud. But I think. Oh, my wife just said that's better. Okay. Well, I'll keep moving along through the chat. My wife throwing me off here live on air. Big up, honey. I love you so much. My niece Drula's in the house. Says big up, Uncle Jacob, Kuva, and the chat. Big up, Drula, my adopted niece. Tottenham Tom. That's a new name. Says love Pep Sar on our team. Big up, Tottenham Tom. I don't know if you're out there in Ireland, but big up yourself, my friend. Good to see you here. Beer Talk says treble for our man Ange POSTECOGLOU. Big up manager of the month hat trick. Big up Angelos. Big up Angelos every single time. Vindaloo says it's new manager bounce. That's how we've gotten the awards. Also goes on to say good manager, but has to be proven. Arteta too needs to win, or he should get the boot. Expectations for your club should always remain high. And I actually agree with this, Vindaloo, because I think Arteta too does need to win this season and have some sustained success in order to validate what he's doing over there 4 years in. But for me, looking solely at my manager, 4 months in, I really like what we're doing. My expectations, I'm keeping them, I guess. This is an interesting point, Kuvan. I want to know what you think about this, because I've tried to keep my energy and my expectations the same, but should they change because of what we've been seeing? Should my expectations now change? I'm just curious what you think as a grown man, because I value your opinion, but like, not trying to be a flip-flop, but if we bunny sighting, what was that? I'm so distractible. This is why there's just too many things going on.
I know what you're saying. Should we change our expectations?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. See, I'm not scared of being called a flip-flop. I think the game's all about emotions and how you feel about your team. So, 1 week it's a disaster against Chelsea, end of the world. Come the next game, if we win it, we're going to win the league again. I don't care. It's not how I feel. I'm enjoying it. So, you manage your expectations from week to week. Of course you do. If you it's no good just saying we're definitely doing this right the way down the line and predicting what's going to happen in May. We're looking at some of the teams around us. They've got a potential to be even thrown out of the league if they're found guilty of some of the charges they're up against. So I don't see a problem. Just see what happens. We're in an unlikely situation now where we're going to do much, and we are having to look at players perhaps that failed before, perhaps stepping up, or we're looking at some new ones coming in, the likes of Ashley Phillips. Perhaps he does come into the team. Perhaps he has an outstanding game, and then we're not looking so scared about losing Van der Ven for several months if Ashley Phillips comes in and does well. So let's see what comes about tomorrow. What I do believe is in this manager. I think he has got a way of making players believe in what they're doing. And as we saw, despite anybody else's opinion, I know everybody's got their own view on it, but what happened at Chelsea, to me, I saw team spirit in abundance there when we're down to 9 men. And I also saw a way to play football and score goals even when we're under those sort of circumstances. So with 11 players on the pitch, even if they're not your first choice ones, I think we can still find a way. I think we've got players there that haven't had those runner games that we're looking for, that we need to see from them. Brennan Johnson being one of the biggest ones. If he's on fire as well, that makes up for partially for Maddison. If Bentancur's back on form on a regular basis, that also helps with the midfield. So it's also going to cover for Maddison. The defence, that is the big question, though, isn't it? And who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see, because I'm all for taking big chances. I don't see any way around it at the moment. It's we're if you like, with that crisis is upon us. It's whether we're going to deal with it or not. There's no choice of tactics that's a guaranteed winner. There's no choice that we can all agree on and say that's definitely going to work. We just have to wait and see. I've got faith in the team. I've got faith in the manager. I think we'll get a lot more out of the coming games than people are giving us credit for. It's not like we lost everybody. We've still got our captain up there up front who's been scoring a lot of goals this season. We've got some talent around him. We've got a midfield that still works very hard, wins the ball back well, and we can continue playing that style of football we're supposed to be playing. A little bit more dodgy at the back. As much as we're going to miss Van der Ven, we've seen Vicario step up and show what he can bring when we need him to play that style of football as well. It's a shuffle around. We're going to have a patched up defence one way or another. Could be a bit of a squeaky bum scenario where we're conceding a few more chances than we want to. But on the other hand, if we play aggressively enough and keep playing in their half, it's not an issue. Just limit any sort of ball they can play in behind our defence. We were doing pretty well, although riding our luck with it against Chelsea. But with 11 men, I don't see why we can't do a lot better doing it. It's for me, it's not a crisis. It's a problem that can be solved. Let's just see if we can do it, or if the players are up to it. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Who knows? I don't mind being wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think we're going to beat Wolves.
You know what? Without giving too much away, I do actually agree with you, my friend. Big up MH Plays in the house. Big up the Outlaw. I love this comment. It says, Ange ball is not a strategy. It's a way of life. Next man up, we roll on. Not just in the sense of Ange ball, but also in the sense of these injuries, these suspensions. We have to move forward. We cannot stop just because some players fell off the wagon. Look, they're going to have to get back up on that wagon and catch up to us and get and find us there. But look, I agree with you, the Outlaw. Big up. I appreciate that. James, the paratrooper, dropping in. Big up yourself. Archibald is here. How you doing, Archibald? John Mikulev is here as well. Says big up to you, Jacob and Kuva. Big up, John Mikulev. Again, thank you, Mita. Thank you, Mia. I don't know why I mispronounced your name, but thank you again for that super chat. Look, I got a I got a super membership chat from Cal L Agent member for 2 months. How you doing? Says think we'll see shouts for Dorrington Donley soon? ?
If we keep getting injuries, yeah, without doubt.
You know that is the most.
They've done so well. Yeah, I don't think we should be too scared of seeing a few youngsters come through. If anything, I'd like to remind us of the conversations we were having at the start of the season. And I remember clearly saying I would not be against seeing some of the youngsters coming through this season when we have injuries. Now we're at this stage. I've got no problem if they do come into the team. Personally, I think Ange is going to put them on the bench first, if anything. And they'll just be coming on to, that fresh set of legs or cover any further injuries. Because if we get further injuries, then we're going, without doubt, head first into crisis areas. Perhaps we'll end up with Brian Hill playing centre-back.
Yeah, was it you that was suggesting that the other day? Someone was like, Brian Hill, put him in there.
No, it was a throwaway comment in chat. It's funny.
Yeah, funny and like a hee-hee or a ha-ha or like a... it's funny how Freddy Krueger will find you in your dreams. Kind of funny, that's humor can be fun that way. Big up Beer Talk in the house. Phil Coys, Ronnie Sahara's here. Ben Kaufman from the Coffee Company is here. He said I did that one, Paul Kuva. He said I did that one a little different. I tried to vary it up. Big up, make sure I'm saying hello. Daniel Field is here early. Usually Daniel Field shows up here at the very end of the shows. Big up Daniel Field. Big up Lisa in the house as well. Good to see you in the house. Danny Kiriakou, how are you doing out there in Amsterdam? Says I think Kuva shaving his head has caused severe delusion syndrome. I think Kuva may have memory loss and is forgetting the players that we have left. And there it is. Kuva's reply.
Different manager, mate, different tactics. They're not going to be sitting back on the edge of their box hoping to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't think they're going to be sitting back looking to keep a clean sheet. I think they're going to see this as an opportunity to really get something from this match based on what they saw. I've listened to some rival Wolves podcasts, and they seem to think that the way that we play will actually bode better for them than in the past, because they say that, from my understanding, now any Wolves fans out there in the chat, if you're here, let me know. Holla at me, talk to me nicely indeed. But they seem to say that they operate, from my understanding, that they operate similar to Chelsea. They're going to allow us to bring that pressure, and then they're going to try to catch us on the counter. And that is our style is going to bode well and play into their hands. We shall see. But
yes, it's a risky business at this point. The simple fact is we are missing 3 of our first choice back 4. That can't get around that fact. So we've got to we've got to hope things go our way a little bit.
Speaking of things going our way, I have the guest that I had. I guess I dropped a teaser for it a couple days ago. I've been working on trying to get this gentleman onto the show for quite some time. So it will be his debut here on United Spurs of America. But if you digest football content in general and Spurs content to be specifically, you've probably seen this man on one or two different shows. But big ups and thank you very much for joining the show. We've got George in the house. How are you doing? I don't know what channel to plug or your TikTok. I know that you're active on TikTok, but how are you doing first and foremost? And welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me. First of all, Jacob, man, it's a pleasure to finally come on the show. I know we've been trying to put this together for a while, but it's glad to be here for the first time. Yeah, no, with regards to channels to plug me, I'm just here, there, and everywhere. If you just get me out on literally 4George or Durag Diaries on TikTok, that's where you'll find me, and I sort of just dotted around everywhere. So yeah, but I'm doing good apart from that. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. It's nice that we're the first game of the week. We can just get it out of the way. If we get when we walk away with the 3 points, just going to be a nice relief of our chests, and then we could go into the international break and have a nice 2 weeks away from football. But nah, it's good, man.
I agree with you. And there's something you said there's let's just get the first one out of the way and let's get it over and done with. We are the first up this weekend. Last weekend we were the last ones and we saw how that went. Didn't enjoy it, but look, I don't want to talk too much about the Chelsea thing. I think that is a moment in time in which I would like to leave in the past. So moving forward, looking ahead, this redo, relook, whatever you want to say, back line, 3 out of the 4 are going to be missing at least one match, and then 2 out of the 4 will be missing for at least the next 3 matches. But then I wake up, James Maddison. I did a show yesterday planning for James Maddison in this squad. Now, without him, I think it looks a little bit different. But Jordan, I just want to get kind of your vibe right now. How are you feeling as far as what our starting 11 is going to look like and potentially even our bench?
Do you know what? It's hard to sort of analyze where we are at. Like when I've looked at the team, I have a little bit of confidence because in the way that we play and the way that we ended the Chelsea game, I liked it. I like to see how on the ball in particular, I feel like we looked good. The passing passages were a lot better because when you looked at the Fulham game when we played our B team in that Fulham game, the way our build-up play, the style of football was completely off. It was just completely off from the first team when we made all those changes. And now going into this game, I do feel like we can still play our way. I do still feel confident. At the end of the day, a lot of the changes that we are going to be making are at the back. We do know that's probably where a lot of the problems do lie, but we are going to be defending from the front. We do know the one thing that's key about this Ange team is we defend from the front. We've got our main attackers. We've got the guys that are going to be pressing that Wolves back line and trying to stop them from even getting past our halfway line to even get the chance to break through to our defense. So as long as we can stay well on that front, then I feel like we can do good. Me personally, I think the changes that we need to make, I'm personally not a big fan of Lo Celso. I don't feel like he works in our team. I think he's too one-footed. Sometimes his passing range is poor. I don't feel like he can do a long ball. It's always a lot of short, quick passes with him, and he tries to rely on his dribbling. But whenever I've seen him in the Premier League, he's not physical enough. He gets 1-2 pushes and he goes down too easy. So for me, he's not the player to come in. I think we should potentially look at maybe bringing Kulusevski into the middle. If Ange doesn't want to do that, then we're just gonna go straight. Play 3 straight centre mids. I'd say throw Bentancur in there just to get someone that's good at retaining the ball, good at keeping the possession, and probably against Wolves, a team that probably they're going to be looking at doing a low block against us. We're going to need players that can keep the ball and move it well. And out of all the players in our midfield, I'd say Bentancur is the one that has the line breaking pass in. He can break through a defence, especially in a low block. But
we were talking a little bit about Bentancur, and I think that like he does possess a lot of the profile that we could look for as someone to attempt at replacing. I don't think that he is a James Maddison type necessarily. I see him as kind of that hybrid role that Ange has said, where Ange says with Papa Matasar, he sees him as a 6, an 8, and a 10, and at various times during the match, he's going to require him to do those different duties. I see Bentancur, he did all that for us last season. Yep. So he can do the SAR role. It will be interesting to see, but do you think that it could be a little too soon to rush him back from that ACL? He's only had, what, 2 appearances now off the bench. The second one, he did get a lot more time. I thought he would get less, but it was more time than I expected. Do you see that being an issue, maybe as to why he won't start?
Potentially. I do see that potentially being an issue, and I think it may be because, of course, he's just come back from a massive ACL. And like you said, we need to think about the long-term future for Bentancur. We don't really want to risk him in a game like Wolves, which, if we're being honest, isn't a game where you'd say is you would want to risk one of your players. He's probably a player that we might want to bring on in the second half. And personally, I think he probably might... I think Ange probably might go for the Højbjerg option, considering how Højbjerg, when he has come in, to be fair, I think he's been very impressive. I'm not the biggest fan of Højbjerg, as in, I don't feel like he's the man to take us forward. I don't feel like he fits in this team long term. But so far this season, whenever he has come in, he's done the job that we've needed him to do. And the only thing that I will say is bringing him into the midfield, it just means we have no creativity, if I'm being honest. Because then we've got Højbjerg, we've got Basuma, we've got Sarr, we've got 3 players that, if we're being honest, their best abilities are all defensively. Sarr is great on the ball at times, but I haven't seen enough of him on the ball, dribbling, beating players, or even making those line-breaking passes. So I'd like to see a bit more from that, but I think, as I say, there's other ways that we can tackle it. I did hear him mention in his pre-game interview, pre-game press conference regarding Hill potentially. I don't know if he mentioned him playing in the middle. That could be something that we could look at, a player that's a bit more creative, very good on the ball, and in tight spaces, we know that he can work with it. So there's a few options out there. It's really to see what ones he does go with. I'm really interested to see how he does set up the defense, to be honest. I'd like to see Phillips come in, because I heard Davies, I think Paul O'Keefe said something along the lines that Davies has only been in the gym this week. He's not actually been in training. So throwing him back in the sticks, probably when he's not 100% next to Dyer at centre-back, might not be the way that we want to go. So seeing a man like Phillips in there and seeing what he can do, I'm interested to see. I'm really
So intrigued. you real quick, just real quick, you think that Eric Dyer is the surefire start to get in there left, right, centre-back somewhere? He's getting the start.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Google, what about you? Are you saying the same thing? Dyer in any way, shape, or form, left, right, don't matter. However we set up, Dyer will be in the starting 11. Is that what you're saying too?
Yeah, George. Big up George, by the way. Yeah, the man's come on and he's like spitting facts straight away. I feel like I can go now, to be honest. Yeah, Dyer's got, whether we like him or not, he has got the experience. He has done the role time and time again. We've got to hope that Ange has had enough time with him on the training pitch to, pull some sort of rabbit out of the bag there. I think Dyer's the absolute certainty to start for me. Phillips, I think, is an interesting one. I've got this, like I said earlier in the show, I've got this gut feeling he might be on the bench, and we might start with the extra midfielder, maybe even play with that really risky scenario I said, with a really narrow back 3, and then pack the midfielder out with 2 defensive midfielders. You can look at that as saying one of the defensive midfielders is effectively a centre-back then, and that in that case, that would be likely Højbjerg. But for me, it allows Sarr and Bentancur to both go forward. That makes up for the loss of Maddison to an extent. I think that the key to it all, this whole system, is keeping the pressure on the opponents in their half. If we can do that, then I don't think the defence is as big a issue as it's being made out to be. But as George rightly says, we just don't know, do we? We're just gonna have to see what happens. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. And real quick, before we keep going, let me go ahead and say we are now over an hour on the show. So please do hit that like and hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Over 100 people watching across all platforms. So big up every single person on whatever platform you are watching. Know that you are valued and appreciated here on United Spurs of America. First and foremost, just wanted y'all to know that. So big up and hit that like if you haven't already. Share this video with your mother, your brother, your cousin, your sister, your auntie, and your uncle, maybe even your nephew and your niece. They all want to watch United Spurs of America. We are on the road officially to 3K subs, which is absolutely crazy because it seems like I was just saying that we hit 2K subs. We are officially 100 subs away. I refreshed the YouTube analytics page and it said that we hit 2,000 2,900. Oh, 2,901. So we are officially 99 subs away from the big 3K. So big up everybody who's been a part of this journey from the beginning, or if you're here new, whether you love me, hate me, or you like it, just holler at me, talk to me nicely indeed. The only thing that's ever required here on United Spurs of America is immaculate vibes. That's first and foremost. Secondly, it's optional. I suggest you hit the like. I would like it if you hit the subscribe. But again, you are your own person. This is your universe. The world is your oyster. So you don't have to do any of that. You can just enjoy the show for what it's worth. It's free.
You've just said like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. That's what I should have done. Yeah, I should keep it simple, but I always like to present the option because I feel like, every channel I go to, they're like, you hit that like, or smash the like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get you. For me, I'm just more like, bro, you can hit the like, you can not hit the like. Plenty of people don't. Half the people who watch the shows aren't even subscribed anymore. So it is what it is. People will do as they see fit. All I say is I humbly would suggest that it's free, it costs nothing, and it supports the channel. It costs absolutely zero. So that's just my personal opinion. But look, also there's a poll. There's 114 votes into the poll right now. 65% says Spurs are going to win despite the setbacks. And then tied a piece. Well, look, no, 19% says Wolves will win. I think that shows the amount of Arsenal, Liverpool, maybe some Manchester United fans that are here in the chat, saying that Wolves are going to go ahead and get the win. Any Spurs fans in the chat, let me know. Do you think that Spurs are going to lose versus Wolves just because of the depletion? Look, I'm kind of getting the vibe from both of you gentlemen here on the show with me that we are still going to be able to go out there and effectively execute what we're doing. It's not like we stumbled upon this yesterday. Ainge knew from the moment that game was over that we're going to have to go forward without X, Y, and Z. Now, whether the backups can play a role that sufficiently will get it done, I don't know. That remains to be seen. We'll see. But big up to every single person in the house.
Yeah, just a really well contested game tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't like to predict it either way.
I think it's going to be more entertaining than it would have been. I felt like we would have completely manhandled them and really dictated what happened within the 90 minutes when we went there. That's how I felt if we had a strong 11. I feel like this brings more uncertainty to where I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what will be said to them, which is what Ainge has told us, that we're going to play our style no matter who it is, where it is. So we're going to go out there and do that. Whatever to what degree that is, I don't know. I hope it's firing on all cylinders. I was trying to look here through Paulo Cui's Twitter to find what you were referencing, and all I can seem to find, was it a reply or was it like a tweet that he did? I can't find.
Was this in reference to?
What's his name? We were just talking about it. No, I don't see it. You must be suffering from Jacobitis because my brain often does that. But big shout out. Look, I love Liverpool's in the house. About time to be reminded who you are. Is it Wolves supposed to remind me who Tottenham are? Is that what I'm supposed to understand from this comment? I don't know. But big up. I love Liverpool. I love that you're here. It's Remembrance Day in the UK today. What are we remembering? What is that? Remembrance.
The First World War.
Oh, so it's serious. It's not fun. Okay. Well, salute to the troops. We do that here. I don't know what y'all do. Are we supposed to just stand silent like the dudes?
I suppose we wear a poppy. You'll see the players wear those.
That's what it is. Okay. Yeah.
That's what they'll be playing with tomorrow. That's sort of the remembrance. And probably a 1 minute of silence prior to the game.
Big up. Yeah, no, that's serious business. I'm not going to make light of that, even though I try to make light of everything. That's just, I'm a very unserious person. But big up everybody.
You can have jokes about everything, but there's time and a place, isn't there?
Yes. That's why I wasn't going to make any kind of like any joke. We're moving along because I feel like the longer I ramble, the bigger of a hole I can dig myself. I'm very good at that. I don't think
you're quite in Anthony Jeselnik territory yet, but
wait, what did he do?
What hasn't he done?
Fair enough. Big up everybody who was hitting that like. Look, we are over an hour. I do want to start really getting into the nitty gritty here of Wolverhampton versus Spurs. I have a lineup builder, and there are, I feel like, some positions that are pretty self-explanatory. I did this yesterday with Paul Hotspur Hippie, and we landed on a pretty agreeable situation on a few different positions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this with y'all, and that way here on the panel and in the chat, get involved. Feel free to. I really want to see what y'all think now. Look, I'm going to fill out some of these while we talk. Like, obviously, Heung-min Son's going to get the start. There's no doubt about that. I think Kulusevski's going to get the start at the right wing. There's really no doubt there. We see Sar and Basuma, and then I think we'll go ahead and we'll discuss who we think will fill in for that James Maddison role. But guys, well, how do y'all see this back? Well, I want to start from the back and work our way forward before we talk about the James Maddison part, because James Maddison, I think Brennan Johnson probably gets the start as well. Would we all say that that we think Brennan Johnson gets the start?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think he has to. He looks very bright. Jordan, let me ask you real quick while I'm still building this. Brennan Johnson, the short amount of time we saw versus Chelsea, I thought he looked very bright. I was very excited to see. I thought poor circumstance that he was the one who had to be the sacrificial lamb. What did you make of the first little thing you saw from Brennan Johnson, and what do you think he could bring to us for Wolves?
I agree. I think he was just a case of he's probably one of the only players that was sacrificable in that way. Like, Kulu's too good pressing and too good with the 1v1 for us to take him off. But he was really good. He's really bright. I feel like every time that we have seen him, he's linked up very well with Sonny. He knows to get into the good positions, and I feel like he's understood the assignment very well. He takes on what Ange wants from him, and he looks really good. So for me, this game against Wolves will probably be the first game where he gets to really show us what he's got, because it's against a low opposition sides. All the other games that he has played and he's come into have all been against bigger teams, bigger games, and he hasn't really had that chance to make a solid impact. So I think this is a good chance for him to come in, take his chance, and show us what he's got. Essentially, I'd like to see him score. I do think in front of goal, he's maybe been a bit. I wouldn't say he's been bad. I just think it's a bit of lack of confidence, maybe because he gets into those opportunities. He knows he isn't going to get too much of them, so he's just a bit. I mean, it's just a bit nerves. It's just natural nerves that you get being a young player coming into a big team. But I think
he got his first start for us versus Arsenal. That's no bigger. I don't care where they're at, where we're at in the table. It don't matter. When we see you, we see you, and we threw the kid into the big boy pond there.
And then against Chelsea as well. So we know that Ange trusts him, and he's clearly a player that we know he's going to be here for the future.
Yeah, we were told as well that was Ange Postecoglou's #1 priority in the summer, was signing that profile, Brennan Johnson. But not only the profile, but there's a mentality of human that Ange is looking for. And he had some quotes earlier this week, I believe, talking about not only finding the right player profile that fits the system we're running, but that has the right mentality to be a good person. Like, he wants a good guy with a good head on their shoulders. And by all accounts and purposes, everything I've seen from Brennan Johnson suggests that. And it's almost like the antithesis of what I'm being told Jed Spence is. And maybe that's why Jed Spence got sent out fairly quickly and was never even used in the preseason, except for I think once he came on as like a right winger.
And quote sort of from what I took of it, because he mentions Vicario every time he does say it. For me, it looks like he's given a slight dig at Raya, because Raya was so desperate to get out of his club. And I know he mentioned in a quote that he doesn't want players that are just desperate to leave their clubs. He wants players that just really want to be at our club.
Very good point.
So, yeah, fuck Raya. Sorry, Bass.
Hey, and Jordan, I'll tell you this. A lot of places I go, they're very like, oh, if you even say bollocks, will get demonetized. Me, YouTube algorithm knows by now what Jacob's going to say, and it's some outlandish shit. So you could feel free to speak however you want. I think maybe it's because I'm in America that they allow me to curse more than, like, it seems like all the people in the UK, it's if you say a curse word or two, you get limited ads or something like that. So they tried to hit me with that yesterday, but then they took it away. So I think they're okay with what I do here. Hey, as soon as I say that, watch, I'll refresh and I'll have that little yellow $sign. That'll be fun. But big up Foxy in the in the house as well, Ren. It's the Call of Booty. You already know, Ren, the Call of Booty here is just hit a like and subscribe. I'm trying to see what y'all are saying about this back line. Look, I think most of the 11 is pretty self-explanatory. I filled it out while we were talking. Travis says, Jordan Jacob, what excuses will you use and cry after Wolves smack you 3-1? Kuva never cries, by the way. That is true. Kuva is a stonewall himself. But I would first like to know, where is the link for this crystal ball that everybody seems to have a hold of? Everybody tells me, shout out my boy Hussein from This Is Football, but he said, if you go to the Emirates, you play an attacking football, you're going to get stomped 4-1. That didn't happen. You do that versus Liverpool, though, it's going to happen. That didn't happen. I'm saying I've been told a lot of things this summer, these first 11 matches. I've been told a lot of different things, like this. Wolves smack you 3-1. You're telling me that's a final situation, and I want to know where the crystal ball is, because I would like one too. All these fans and some content creators, they always say, if you do this, this will happen. And to me, I just think that that's a fallacy. That's an expectation. That's a probability and a likelihood, yes. But a final saying Wolves will smack you, no. I don't think that's going to be happening. Look, anything can happen in the beautiful sport. I do subscribe to that thought, but I just don't see it. I just think this group of players that we have out there right now, Son, Kulu, Basuma, Sar, Poro, Vicario, they all exhibit the things that ANGE POSTECOGLOU has preached about, like what George was alluded to, like what Kuva and I have talked about. They exude all those same things. So I don't think the mentality were too much of a drop-off just because we are seeing half of our most crucial positions falling out. Look, Jordan, before you got here, we were talking and we counted 8 positions that if you take them out, we look a lot different. And as you see, there are 4 holes in this formation. 4 of our crucial 8 have been taken away for this match. Next match, we'll only be missing 3 of the crucial 8. So that's better. But for this match specifically, I think it could present a little bit of a challenge. But I don't think Wolves are going to smack us.
I think with Emerson going in at left back, it's not going to be too much of a big deal. I do feel like Emerson's been pretty good this season, and playing with the inverted role, it doesn't force him to go out on his left side and play on his left foot. So I think defensively, it might be a bit of a problem because Wolves haven't got Neto. So I'd say Wolves without Neto don't really have tricky wingers. They have Hwang Hee-chan, who's a fox in a box and finds himself in good positions, as well as Cunha, who, again, has got good movement. But I don't feel like we're going to have the problem with the 1v1 battles on the wing. So Emerson at left back, I feel like we can do well to combat that.
Yeah. What about for you, Kuva?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying Wolves have not scored 3 goals in any game this season. Unless you count Blackpool in a cup. So I'm not too worried about their firepower, especially with Neto being gone as well. So I can see us doing okay there. And also, we haven't conceded 3 in any game this season, except for when we're down to 9 men. And then it took till the 94th minute before the 3rd goal actually went in. So I don't think we're going to capitulate like people seem to think we're going to. I think it's going to be a much closer game than that. And I think we will find ways to deal with them. I'm quite a fan of the way Wolves have been playing since Gary O'Neill's taken over. I think he's doing a really good job with them. I think they're going to be difficult to beat. I think...
it's the same Gary O'Neill. He was with the Cherries not too long ago, wasn't he?
Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's a good manager. I think Wolves are doing well, but they're going to miss their missing player in Neto as much as we're going to miss some of ours. They won't be the same team without him. They do have some players that can cause problems, without doubt. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy game for us. Certainly not. But I don't think it's going to be an easy game for them either. I think we are still going to be pressing the same way we've always been pressing. And that is going to cause them problems because we are very, very good at it. And that is the source of our goals. We're not firing on all cylinders up front. We're still averaging more than 2 goals a game. So we've got it there to hurt teams still. It's just going to be a lot harder than it has been. So I'm not going to go for a 3-1. If it is, though, if we do get beaten 3-1, I just hope that it's down to the football and it's not some stupid VAR decisions that any sort of
I
controversy.
think if there's a chance of us conceding 3, you're looking at least 1 or 2 Eric Dyer mistakes. I'm being
Yeah, it's alarming. Now you say that, we might.
This is one of those things that I've been like so thankful of ANGE POSTECOGLOU for, that Dyer has missed out. Phillips has made the bench. And then when Phillips misses out on the bench because he wasn't healthy, and then he came back and was playing with the academy. So then Dyer started getting back on the bench, and I'm like, I don't like this. It's Michael Myers. If anyone who watches Halloween, you know Michael Myers, he's just walking ever so calmly. And it's like, no matter how fast you run, how much you scream, where you hide, Eric Dyer will find us and he will play for us. And it's like, we just can't escape this guy. Now, look, I was trying to see what SofaScore predicts these lineups to look like. And for us, it's actually quite funny. They have Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Eric Dyer as our starting center backs, and Oliver Skip as the midfielder who comes in. And then Papa Matasar to assume that number 10 role is what they look like they're suggesting we're going to do. With Emerson Royale and Brennan Johnson on the left.
My feeling about Bentancur starting is, with that kind of injury, if he's fit enough to come on as a substitute, he's fit enough to start. The ones I always think you have to be more careful with is when it's a muscular injury, because they're the ones that are more likely to be a repeat injury if you're not ready or you overdo it when you come back. I think with an ACL, either it's busted or it's fixed. There's no in-between state. There's no sort of weakened state where it comes back. It's I think he's ready for it. He certainly didn't look to be unfit to me when he came on.
I agree.
I think he's good to go. So I don't see Skip starting, because out of all the substitutes we have been seeing come on in recent games, he's probably the one that looks the most off the pace, unfortunately. I like Skippy's attitude. I like his determination, but he's a bit of a weak link when he comes on, as far as I'm concerned. Not good to say, but you know, I'll then generally tend to say it as I see it, and I think Bentancur is way ahead of him in the pecking order.
You know, that's interesting. For me, I'm more feeling reserved about it. I guess I don't want to rush Benny Boy back too soon, because we know where he can get. I just don't want to throw him in there and him try to reach that level too soon. Because as an athlete, as a competitor, you know he wants to start. You know he wants to go out there and give 110%, but should he? As I guess where kind of my mind is, like, should he go out there and start? I don't want to start him. I don't think he should start, but it seems like, Kuva, you're leaning on maybe go if he's fit to come on as a sub, then he's fit to go ahead and start the match. So are you saying the guy who comes in the midfield is it going to be Bentancur rather than Giovanni Lo Celso or anyone else?
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I think he's light years ahead of the others.
I definitely come over the Lo Celso and the other central midfielders. The only other man I could see going in there is bringing Kulu in there and potentially pushing Hill out on the wing. But then again, I don't feel like Ange is going to try to be too edgy and try and make too much changes to the team, bringing in another young player like Hill into a position he's not played before, or bringing Kulu in there into a position, again, that he's not played before in this team. So it'd probably be safer to go with Bentancur, a player that's familiar with this team, played in there before, and, again, just help us keep the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier as well, if you go with the assumption that it could be Højbjerg as the sort of defensive partner to Dyer, the way I would be looking at it in that scenario is Højbjerg would be playing more as a defensive midfielder. He's going to be pushing a lot further forward than Dyer is. So effectively, we'd be playing with 4 midfielders in the middle there, and that'll keep. That's
what you were suggesting yesterday as well.
The only thing with that, don't you think that, like, especially with a team like Wolves who are on set pieces, they're a big team. They're a team that are going to probably they're going to try to utilize any corners, any long free kicks, because that's just the way that they are. I think with Højbjerg at the back, just like we did against Chelsea, we didn't want to do that low block with the risk that we're going to lack that aerial presence, knowing that Dyer, he's horrible at tracking his man. He's horrible in the air at times. So I just think it's a big risk, especially with the the only reason why I see that why like your point of view, and I think it could work, is the build-up play. I feel like at the back we need someone who's good and very comfortable with the ball at their feet next to Dyer, because he's not. And we need, especially how we play, we need a good centre back. But I think it's too big of a risk to put Højbjerg in. And as to why I would take the risk with a player like Phillips, who is young, he is good at with the ball at his foot, with the ball at his feet. He does lack a lot of experience, but he's tall. He will have that presence, and he's a centre back. He knows how to play the position. It's just a matter of whether he can step up to the level or not.
Mm.
Yeah, good points. My theory with Højbjerg playing there isn't to do with him being good on the ball. It's to do with we want to be basically camped in their half. I think if it comes to the point where we're forced back onto the edge of our own penalty area, we are going to crumble badly. I think this is like an enhanced version of how we had to play against Chelsea with 9 men. For me, I think we've got to take the chances, but really get those bodies in their half of the field, be very aggressive, leave them absolutely no time on the ball whatsoever. I think that's why I can see Højbjerg doing it from the centre-back position, because he can just drop back when needed, but he can also join in with that really aggressive press.
And in years past, and even as a substitute role, he has been, when the formation starts shaking out, that lone center back at times this season. And then in the past, he kind of drops in between the 2 center backs and was operating almost as a central center back at times defensively in our shape. So Højbjerg has that ability in his boot, and honestly, I trust him as a center back more than I trust Eric Dyer. So if that doesn't, I trust Ashley Phillips more than I'd rather Ashley Phillips go out there, look like Bambi on ice, and we know what he looks like and he knows, and now we can assess him from there, than to see Eric Dyer, because no matter what he does, I'm not going to change my opinion. Now, yesterday on Monday, I was ready to have an apology video prepared. I was going to come up here full screen myself and say, I'm an idiot for ever doubting you, sir. But you know what? By Cricket's dick, he was offside, and it's unfortunate. But I didn't get to do my apology tour for Eric Dyer, because Kuva, you know how adamant I've been for about a year to get this man out of my club. The final straw for me was that video he did with Dave the Predator Portnoy on that summer, where he's like, you guys never win anything, right? And he's like, no, I'm a fucking loser. We're all a bunch of losers. To me, I would have slapped him upside his head. Harry Kane should have. Matt Doherty should have. Those were 2 of the Spurs players who were there with him that day. But look, I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm not still upset about the way this man represents our club in the public place. No, I'm not, because Spurs will send free shit to Dave Portnoy anyway, because apparently he is also a great representation, which I do not think he is a great representation of Spurs fans. I think he's quite embarrassing. But Jason Bell here says, I really think Decky is going to start in the middle as that James Maddison role. Do any of y'all here see that, and what would leave you to believe that could be a reality for us?
Go for it, Jules.
Yeah, no, I think he can. Like, I can see why people want him to play in that position. He's very good on the ball, and naturally, he's a player that prefers to come in on the inside. The reason I don't think it would happen or it would work, well, I just don't think that would happen, because Brian Hill hasn't played much. He has not played much this season, and apart from Brian Hill, we haven't got any other winger that you can bring in this team, or any other attacker. So it would leave us. I think you're just forcing a player into the team that's just not ready. Brian Hill's not ready to start. He's ready to come off the bench. And it's just safer to go with players like either Højbjerg or Bentancur, who are experienced. They're going to come into the system and they're going to play the way that we need to play. Brian Hill was out for a lot of the start of the season, so he didn't even get to train with the team. He didn't get to see how the team was playing. Obviously, he's back, and I know he worked back similar time. He was in a time frame similar to Bentancur when he came back. So... I mean, he's there and thereabouts. Probably good for this game to come off the bench, because he's still not had an appearance. I think he had, was it 5 minutes or so he had an appearance? I remember him coming in. But yeah.
He came in at the 89th minute, and I believe there was 5 minutes to start. So it was like 7 minutes. Yeah.
So he's
and
just
then the second one was, no, you meant Brian Hill? Has he gotten?
Yeah. He had
I didn't think we saw him at all. Let me check. I'll check that right now.
I remember him coming on a sub at least one game.
Yeah, I think he came on, and I remember him coming. He didn't really have much to do, but he came on for a good couple minutes. So he's obviously like in and around the team, and he's ready to play, just not ready to start or have a full impact yet.
Yeah, so he did Crystal Palace. He came on at Crystal Palace. He played 14 minutes and a whole bunch of zeros, a couple passes, 3 touches he had in 14 minutes.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely huge question marks over him. I see things in Brennan Johnson. I just don't see him in Hill.
There's things I saw in Maynard Solomon that I didn't see in Brian Hill. And Brian Hill can do it in La Liga when the sun is shining, but can he do it on a cold, rainy night, Stoke on a Wednesday? I don't think he has it. He ain't got that kind of dog in him, I don't think. Whereas I see Brennan Johnson, I was born in the darkness. He knows the game. He knows what it's like to play in the rain and the cold. He's lived that fucking shit his whole life. For me, you put me, I don't want to go play in the cold rain. No, thank you. Brian Hill, Spanish man by heart. He wants to play when the sun's shining and his hair can flow in the wind, and it's beautiful.
It's the same for Lo Celso. Lo Celso looks good in the La Liga. Whenever he's in La Liga, they look good. I feel like, again, both of those players are thrive off the space that La Liga, like when you see La Liga, the games are very open.
And they let you play with it. They go ahead.
They let you play. They're going to give you the space. You're going to get the freedom, and it's not as physical. I think like those two players just struggle to adapt to the physicality of the Premier League, and they're just never going to fit into our team the way we want them to, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do agree with you as well. And unfortunately, I see that we are 10 likes away from 100 likes, but there's 140 votes in the chat. What are we doing, folks? But still, out of 140 people, 67% say Spurs gonna win despite all the setbacks. I love the vibe here in the chat. So big up everybody in the chat who has hit a like, all 90 of you. Thank you so much for doing that. Mud FC says Ainge wants players with the right mindset, players that are hungry and want to be here. And then it's funny because as I was saying that, then Australian Gooner says good heads on their shoulders, just like Romero, huh? So that's quite fun. Look, I am a Romero advocate. I'm always gonna be on Romero's side. So Australian Gooner, if you're listening, I want you to just look at something for me real quick. Because any Romero slander, this is how I look at you. Any Romero slander, this is what I have for you. Any Romero slander does not affect me because this man's love is too deep and too strong. And then secondly, what I would say about Romero.
Stop playing with my fucking name. All 3 of y'all. Stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more.
No fucking mo, Australian Gooner. But big up. Appreciate you being here. That's how I feel about Christian Romero. And any Spurs fans taking the piss out of him, you can have fun. Enjoy it while the man's down. But when he rises, and he shall rise again, like a phoenix out from the ashes. He's only got 2 red cards. I think this was his 3rd red card in 3 seasons. And everyone's acting like he's out here Bonnie and Clyde with a Tommy gun.
This is 4th. Yeah. Do you know what it is, yeah? I personally
3 sounds better to me. Okay, so I'm going to say 3.
I think it's been a bit harsh. He's obviously a rash player. We know that, but we love that about him. So for Spurs fans that like get onto him, or even other fans that like take that away from his game, that's what a centre back's going to do. And some of the best centre backs of the past generation were exactly like that. Vidic was an aggressive player that would go in there, and they win a lot of their challenges. Do have to time them, but I love that about Romero, so it is what it is, man.
Yeah, it's like I say it is, fire is a good thing. Fire has helped mankind since the dawn of time. Fire has helped. But the thing about fire is you have to control it. You have to keep it safe with just the right amount of things to keep it burning. But you don't want it to get out of hand because very quickly that fire can become a forest fire, and now half of California is burning for 3 months and they can't even put it out. So Romero can lead you down that road, or we could, it's really unfortunate because I was at a point where I was like just getting really shameless about my Cuti Romero because I was ready for him to shut everybody up. Rivals judging him off of last season, Spurs fans judging him off of last season, saying he can't defend, we should sell him, he's this, that, and the other. And he was the first 10 matches really exhibiting what I've seen and what I know the kind of player he is. And it's just unfortunate because he had that moment of it really just felt like we're up a goal, and now he's gonna go just beat them up. He's like, "Hi, we're up a goal. We're gonna whoop their ass this whole game," and he just got a little excited. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's your first sleepover, you're a little bit too loud, and the parents have to say, "Hey, Jacob, you're too fucking loud. Can you keep it down? You're waking everybody up." And you know, it's an adjustment. So maybe I have hope that he will come through good. Do y'all have long term worries about Romero?
I still can't help but think that there were a few choice words going around in Spanish in that Chelsea game, and he very much rose to it. I'm a big, I'm a big Cutie fan as well. I just think if it continues and he's vice captain and he continues getting sent off again and again, it becomes a problem. But I've seen at the start of this season how good he's been for us, how much he has curbed that aggression and focused it. And I've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, saying that's a relapse. It's like a recovering alcoholic. You know he's good, but he'll fall off the wagon sometimes. I think I can tolerate that, but if it just keeps happening and there's never an improvement, it becomes a long-term problem then. Until we get to that stage, I've got to say, I think he's been improving this season, and he's been one of our best players.
I absolutely love him. I'm glad that he was given vice captaincy. Jordan, do you have any long term, like big picture? Are you concerned with the traits?
I personally just think that he's perfect for the long term of our club. Of course, like you don't want him to be getting red cards too often, but if it's one red card a season, like it's not the end of the world. Like again, he's a world class defender. So as long as he doesn't get no more of those the rest of the season, then I'm cool. I'm cool with it. Because again, it was a VAR one. It wasn't even like the referee caught him out. It was a fairly bad. I personally didn't think it was a horrible challenge. I don't really want to get into it, but yeah,
it looked like he was trying to clear the ball with some ferocity. And sometimes the way I say it is, if you don't want to catch a stray, stay off the block when it's hot. That's just the way it is. Look, when the block is hot, things can get flying, and Romero was on the block and things were flying. And look, Enzo Fernandez. This is another thing that I want to say publicly, and I hope we have still about 120 on all platforms watching. Keep liking the video if you haven't already, but. I just really feel like I'm losing my train of thought here. But with Romero, when people tell me that he cares more about Argentina, I'm going to play that clip. I now have video evidence that he does not care more about Argentina. He's about to be reunited with Enzo Fernandez in a week. You think, and then people are saying, oh, if you watch the replay, you could see that he saw Enzo and that he went for the very hard. Bro, is a player not supposed to see that there's a player in his vicinity? I don't understand that notion. But I do think it was harsh. I do think that he more was carded on his reputation than necessarily like what he had done, right? That's where I see it. But I always keep the same energy when it comes to officiating. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to get things right. They're going to get things wrong. The best way to operate is to take them out of the situation completely and do what you got to do. Play cleaner, then they don't get to make that dodgy decision that we now agree or disagree with. And that's just the easiest solution, right? If you're tired of the leaky hose, just turn the fucking water off. Guess what? The hose ain't leaking anymore.
I've got to disagree a little bit there, Jacob. I don't think it was harsh. If somebody's played defense most of my career as well, I'm telling you that was a very, very deliberate attempt to leave one on the bloke. There's no way anybody follows through like that unless they're intending to do something.
I don't know. Do you know the only reason I say so is because him and Enzo Fernandez, they seem to be very good friends, and even when you went into the challenge, you see them they're like smiling at each other afterwards. I don't know if there was that malicious intent behind it, but of course I do agree that someone that does play football, when the studs do go into the shin, it usually is an automatic red, so you can't really argue with that fact.
Yeah, it's just if he was trying to clear the ball, he could have just easily cleared the ball. He was making sure,
but sometimes, sometimes
had to know he was there and he was getting challenged. I mean, full-blooded. It was heat of the moment, but yeah, I didn't think it was harsh. It was deserved. I knew exactly what he was doing. And
he had just kicked out, what, 4 minutes?
South American look of, what? I didn't do anything. He fell over. Yeah, the Italian one's great as well, isn't it? Yeah.
It is yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Big up Dan Davenport. The comments. Danny Kiriakou had a comment that I wanted to give to you, Jordan. I believe talking about the back line here. Says, I'm sorry, George, love you, bro, but completely disagree. Emerson has been poor when he's played except one game that he scored in. And at left back, when he's played there, he's been absolutely shite.
I just have to disagree. He's obviously not played left back much. He's usually played that during game. And he's never been bad for me. I don't feel like he's had a bad performance this season. Of course, I think Porro's outperformed him. He's just better going forward. But for me, whenever Emerson's come on, even against Chelsea, he's been good. He's very comfortable on the ball. Since over the years, he's got a lot better. I feel like people still remember the Emerson that first came to Tottenham, and they still think he's that player. But for me, he's just improved and improved and improved. And I'm impressed with him when he comes on. I think he'll have a good game against Wolves personally.
We'll see. I mean, look, well, no matter how you feel about the guy, he's going to play. He's playing tomorrow. I think that's a given, right? So we can go ahead and lock him in at left back. Is that what we're doing here?
For me, I've said it season after season. I think he's a dreadful footballer, but he is at least an athlete, and he does get stuck in. He can compete. He has got a little bit of pace about him. To answer Danny's comment is... who else have we got there at the moment? He's got to play. There's just nobody else, mate.
Yeah. What I'll say about Emerson Royale is for me, I think he has all the things you want in like a human to be at your club. He's got the vibes. I feel like he's vibes in a box. It's just sometimes I was so mad at him when we had just lost horribly, and then he posted video like Arsenal up next type TikTok dance video, and I'm like, what are we doing here? But then I just realized, like, this guy, like, it doesn't matter what's going on, he's gonna have this certain aura about him. He's gonna be a happy bloke. Like, that's what the guy exudes, and that's just who he is. So like, once again, like Kuva, we were talking backstage about music, and you know, at being an older person, once music starts taking a change, once you can take a step back and accept it for what it is, you can actually kind of enjoy it. And I think it's the same thing with Emerson Royale, where if you take a step back from some of the shit that really made you mad about him as a footballer, you take a step back and just accept him for like the guy he is, you know, like that. Sure,
like who doesn't wait for his compilations? Everyone, we know after that Wolves game at 3:00, I'm waiting for that compilation to drop just so I can see the Emerson, man. The Emerson
he's the compilation king. He dropped a compilation for his baby being born, his wife going into labor. He dropped a comp for that. He dropped a comp whenever all it was him as a substitute coming on the pitch as a sub. That's a comp that he dropped. Like, the man is. He's one of those guys you hope nothing but the best for. But either way, whether you like him or love him or hate him, he's going to be playing at some capacity tomorrow.
We were talking about it the other week, weren't we, Jacob? And I remember saying, if only the man could play football, I would absolutely adore him. Everything else is there. I just love his sense of fun. I love his enthusiasm and his positivity, and
drop his own money and trying to improve his game as well.
Yeah, that crazy money spending on equipment to improve himself. Everything's there except for ability, and that kind of matters at the end of the day, unfortunately.
It absolutely matters.
He's just not a very good footballer, but he can still do a job for us in the meantime because he has got athletic abilities that Ben Davies definitely doesn't. And who's our other left back now? Sessegnon. You're better off wheeling out the treatment.
I was going to say that. That was the question I was going to have for you guys, because I don't have an absolute clue. What was happened to Sessegnon? Like,
he got injured in training. It was his hamstring. Yeah.
He's out with a hamstring this whole season.
So he had surgery June or July 11th, and he's barely now back in the gym after his hamstring surgery. So I remember, because I brought it up and used it as a comparison, like, this is the kind of timeline if fucking Mickey Van de Veen goes under the table or under the knife, not under the table, under the knife, and he gets surgery on his hamstring. It was I think it was like how many June, July, August, September, October, 6 months until he started being in the. He's not even on the field yet, Sessegnon. So yeah, he had hamstring surgery and he's just done. He's just there to be the homegrown quota. When your best attribute is being part of a quota, there's a problem.
I think at the top of his shirt and the bottom of his shorts, he needs some sort of pull-out handles, so he's like got his own stretcher built in.
So that way when he goes down, you can just carry him off.
Honestly, that little transfer window, that Sessegnon, Lo Celso, Ndombele transfer window has got to be like the worst thing that ever happened to this club, because those three players, literally, I think they've probably accumulated less than 100 games between them. Like it's been terrible, and it's been what, 5 years.
You know, it's funny you say that, because what makes it even worse.
They're all still at the club.
What makes it worse was the Lo Celso was just a loan at the time, and then we were like, yes. You hitting the first man with that corner. Let's sign him up.
And Sessegnon as well. He went bad while he was still at Fulham. That's the bit that people overlook. He had already fallen away. It's like when Chelsea signed Torres off Liverpool. Torres had already had that dip in form for a season. He was not the same player, yet they spent big on him anyway. A lot of people could see that it was a bad move. Same with us on Sessegnon. He'd already lost it. He wasn't the player he was when he was a 17-year-old.
Yeah, very good point. We're creeping slowly towards the 2-hour mark, so we do got to run through some things here. But big up everybody who is still rocking with us. Still 100 of y'all popping up with us. Let's finish building this 11, and then I want to get our score predictions and goal scores. So chat, make sure you get involved with the goal score and score predictions. Obviously, let me know who you think is going to be scoring some of the things. I had this start from Callum Roach. They had a question. Have you seen Mikel Antonio's quotes giving us respect? I haven't. Has anyone seen those? All I've seen is him talking shit about Richarlison. No. Yeah. Neil Shafton. Big up Neil Shafton for the super chat. Says he went out last season and had to have surgery. He's had chronic hamstring issues since Fulham. I don't think he's even expected until after January. So I guess that answers what we think is going to happen with Ryan Sessegnon specifically. Big up Neil. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your donut to the channel, my friend. Thank you so much. Center backs. What do y'all want to do first? Because either way, this is the three. This is the little trio that we're missing. What is our center back?
We know Dyer is going to be the right center back. We can all agree on that one.
I don't want to. I'm struggling, bro. I don't want to, because you can't spell Dyer without DIE.
You're right about that.
All right. Hey, I built it yesterday. Just for reference, yesterday's 11 that I built with Paul the Hotspur Hippie, we put Højbjerg and Ashley Phillips next to each other. Because that's how adamant we were that we were not going to allow Eric Dyer. But, hey, y'all are the guests. You both are saying Eric Dyer. I've gotten that vibe from y'all this entire show, so let's go ahead. I'm going to see if I could get away with just putting Eric, and I cannot.
Despite his tactics being so criticised on Monday, Big Ange is not an idiot. He will know that Dyer's got limitations to his game. So they will have been working on a way to get this defence working with the midfield and the goalkeeper. I'm confident we will find a way to play.
With Eric Dyer. That is
I do also think, I think I'm really confident that Phillips is going to be thrown in there, because I do think that he was a player that Ange still, he is one that Ange pointed out, and I feel like does have trust in him. For him to drop Dyer from the bench and put Phillips on the bench numerous of times, and he has trained with the first team quite frequently. I think Phillips is the man that he's going to throw in there, just because you want a player that's familiar with the centre-back position to go in there. And I think it'd be too big of a risk to throw a centre mid in there.
I think he's the most obvious fit, isn't he? At least he is a centre back. So I'd go with that as well. That's the most likely outcome. It's not my choice, but it's the one I think Ange will go with.
I want Ashley Phillips to start at the right center back, because I feel like at least that's where I've seen him play in the academy, and that's all I haven't seen him as a left-sided center back, but I do know that he's got pace and size, and That, but you kind of made a good point earlier, Kuva, which was at this point, are we really? We got a right back playing left back. Are we really that concerned about a right center back playing left?
We've got troubles, haven't we? So I mean, got to just find a way. It's not.
We do got troubles. That's for sure. Phillips is in the database. I did see him yesterday because we put him in there. But I guess this all now comes down to, where is it? He was just here. Do I have to type his whole name? There we go. God, Eric Dyer. That hurts to look at. But who are we saying, y'all? Now it's nut crunching time. Is it Bentancur, Giovanni Lo Celso, Oliver Skip?
None of the above.
I know who Cover thinks it is. It's Pierre. I think it might be the option he goes with, just because he's played the most frequently this season, and he's been the go-to man off the bench. He has been the first option he's always went to for central midfield. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that midfield. It's just, for me, that's a very defensive midfield. But to caveat the fact that we are missing our two centre backs, that might be the way we have to go, just to make sure that we don't concede as many chances.
I think we might see Højbjerg holding and Bissouma and Sarr with more license to go forward than usual.
I'm wondering if, since ANGE POSTECOGLOU has alluded to the fact Papa Matisar has been asked to play in a 10 spot throughout, in particular moments in matches, he has been asked that maybe he's the natural fit to be the most forward of our midfields. Look, I think either way you shake it, it's going to be interesting to see who plays what and where and for how long, because I think it's going to be a fluid situation. I think at moments we're going to see Bissouma drift into those Maddison spots. I think we'll see. But from a physical profile, I would suggest that maybe Papa Matisar is best suited to drift. Because, like, think about those moments where James Maddison drifts off into the left wing area or off into the right wing, and then he also will start dropping back into the box. There's different moments in time where I think James Maddison has occupied areas where physically to get there and back and be a part of the attack, I think the most natural for me would be Papa Matisar to be kind of that forward, in that forward role. So maybe we could see Højbjerg kind of drop back a little bit more and not be as... Højbjerg can do what Sarr's done in the passing sense, which is switch play, ping balls over the top, which Sarr has done effectively, but Højbjerg has as well, lest we forget. He did send a beautiful ball over the top to Harry Kane for the record breaker last year. He can do that. We just don't want him too much on the ball. I don't want to see Højbjerg hanging out with the ball like I saw Eric Dyer hanging out with the ball versus Chelsea, just standing there. The last thing I want is Eric or Højbjerg, the two slowest mountains of men that we have, to be flat-footed at any moment in time with the ball at their feet, let alone. Big up C-Cube. I
think George made a good point earlier about you could see like just a midfield central three, and in which case you're not looking at those traditional positions, the 6, 8, 10. It'll be more a case of they take it in turns. If one goes forward, the other two are a little bit more defensive, and then just you play it by ear off each other. And it's just being used to playing with each other. You train for it all week, and that's the fluidity you're talking about then. It's going to be interesting, whatever it is.
It will be absolutely interesting.
Look, the last point I will say is, I think one thing that I would like to see, and just a little tweak from ANGE, is just giving Porro in this game a bit more freedom. We know that Porro's passing is elite. He's probably one of the better passers on the ball in this team. And if we can give him a bit more freedom, a bit more license to move forward, whether it's in the inverted role or it's within giving him a bit more overlapping runs and allowing him that space on the wing, if we can utilize him and make him a key man in this game, I do think that he can be someone to really push us forward and be key for us tomorrow.
I think, I agree. He can certainly affect the game in the opponent's half very, very well. But I think if that happens, then Ashley Phillips is nailed in. He's got to start then, because otherwise we're abandoning any sort of sign of pace at the back whatsoever.
Ashley Phillips is the only surefire center back I want to see starting. As far as Dyer, I'd rather see Højbjerg, and then maybe in the midfield, I don't even know, man. I'm struggling. I am struggling, but you know what? I'll take this 11 as well. I like Papa Matisar. I think he's pretty versatile. So I think he's a little bit gone under the radar just because of how good Maddison and Basuma have been. That it can easily be swept under the rug, the contributions that Papa Matisar does make to us. So, but big ups, great. I like this. This is a good looking 11. First and foremost, led by Sonny up top, Kulisevsky, Brennan Johnson on the wings. Papa Matisar is who I'm picking out of this. If this is our midfield, this is who I want operating in that forward role. I'd be okay if it's Basuma as well, because I think he shows quality. I just worry. Basuma last game had a shot that looked really not good. So I worry that maybe he's a little low on confidence. And then he also had that free kick. They let him take one, and he sent it way, way high. So maybe
could be a little bit of frustration in his game, because last 2 games he's been man marked because the opposition realise how important he's been for our system. The positive spin on that is that has allowed Mate Sarr to really go forward and show what he can do. So we're finding ways to overcome the little problems at the moment, except when it's massive Chelsea-sized problems. Who does overcome those?
Yeah, big up everybody in the chat. Now is the time. We will be wrapping the show up shortly, but before we do that, we must get the goal score predicciones and who's scoring the goals. At least for Tottenham Hotspur. You can share who you want in the chat about who's going to score the other goals, but I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the chat again. Big up. I just saw this. Big up Neil Shafton again for that super chat. Thank you so much. James saying 8-1 Spurs. Jordan, it's your debut here. I'm going to let you go ahead and give me your score prediction first, and who's scoring your goals, my friend.
I've got a feeling it's going to be a high-scoring game, as in I don't trust Dyer at the back. I'll be totally honest. Just like you, Jacob, he's one of the biggest thorns in my backside, and I've probably been one of his biggest haters for about the past 5 or 6 years. I'm not a big fan of Dyer, so I do see us conceding, but I think we're going to win. I've got a feeling it's going to be a 3-2. I've got a feeling the early kickoff's just going to have that fire. There's always those things you don't expect, but I think we're going to win 3-2. I think Sonny scores. I think Kulu gets on the sheet, and then I see maybe a defender or someone like that. But I do see Wolves scoring. I know we're definitely not keeping a clean sheet tomorrow.
I don't see a clean sheet either. We afford opportunities without Dyer. Now imagine with him what we're going to do. Speak of affording, we're going to give away opportunities. Big up Bobby K says, guys, you seriously need to stop slagging Dyer and get behind him. 4 years in a row, he's been the highest rated player in pointing fingers completed. That's a skill that very few have. Respect the point. Højbjerg is very skilled at pointing fingers as well. I would also say Hugo Lloris last year was really working on how well he could point fingers. So well, he had to leave at halftime versus Newcastle, lest we forget. Kuva, so let me throw it to you. How do you see this thing shaking out? Where do you see the goals coming from?
I think we're actually going to be a bit more solid than people are predicting. What I saw with what was happening with Vicario and that sweeper keeper role, I think with all players on the pitch and we are working that press properly, it's going to severely limit the amount of chances they've got to get the ball forward. I think as long as we've got disciplined with the players that are at the back there, and realise that Eric Dyer is not the solution to all of our problems, I think we can overcome it. I think we can snatch it. Maybe I'm going to go for 2-1. It's kind of a bit of a conservative kind of take on it, but I'd love to go 7-3 like the rest of the season. But it's not that kind of game. We've got too many people out for that kind of scoreline. It'll happen one day, not tomorrow though. 2-1 for me. And it's going to be our main man again. It's our captain, Sonny, with both goals for me.
Oh, I love it. Sonny with both goals. Love to see it. Let's see what the chat is saying. I got James Paratrooper. A lot of people scoring goals in that 8-1, and I love to see it. I don't know what that means. Where am I? I'm struggling here. Oh, big up Ellie. Ellie's in the house. How you doing, Ellie? Says, hey, lads, I see you put my man Højbjerg in. Was that a unanimous decision? Højbjerg is starting somewhere for me, whether it's center back or in the midfield. He is one of the guys we can count on. We counted on him when Basuma was out with suspension. So I think he is one of the guys that we have to rely on either to help in the center back. And remember, we were talking about in the summer, get Højbjerg out of here. We need better. And now we're like, Højbjerg, where can you play, my friend? We got all these available positions, whichever one you want. We'll send you to. So big up Ellie, never wavering on her support there for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Here are the score predictions. Donovan says 2-1. Son and Dyer gets a. Are we thinking there could be a Dyer redemption arc? Because we saw a little bit Maguire and McTominay. They were pushing them out the door in the summer, and now you can argue they're keeping Ten Hag's job alive with their headers and their goals. And I was thinking, oh shit, when Dyer hit that goal, now we're going to see it too. Dyer's redemption arc, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's just trying to do a little bit of a peacock dance for anyone watching. Like, hey, I can still do stuff as a footballer. That's just me personally, but we'll be interested to see.
Something I've always maintained that regardless of what your opinions are on players, it's a bad thing when any of our players doesn't perform. So what I'm trying to stay positive and say Ange will have worked all week on Eric Dyer being a centre-back, and we're getting used to what we're going to do to help him out there, counter the lack of pace he has there, and just find a way. And I think he did pretty well when he came on against Chelsea, to be honest, under the circumstances. Made a great block immediately, didn't he, to stop a certain goal.
Header. He headed it off the line, the beast.
I think we've got a way. It's just going to be difficult, isn't it? It's a hard-fought game. Wolves are doing pretty well. They're giving people difficult games as well, not getting all the luck. So I just think sometimes you just got to, grit your teeth and go, come on, show us something.
You know what it is with him, as well. It's just it's like the one thing that replays in my head, like one of the most recent memories, is remember that Rashford goal, I think last season, like where he just had his bearings completely off, and he literally stepped off him for about 25 yards. He just walked back, and then let him pass it into the goal. And I just think he's gonna let every player do this, and even against Chelsea, like he lets the positions he takes up at the back line. He gives a lot of players space. He doesn't seem confident in himself. So.
There's one that reminds me too. Iheanacho last year when Leicester put the work on us. I just remember him just, Your Honor, I'm arrested, and he's just backpedaling. It's just like, bro, they have more mobility on the show Cops when they're arresting the folk and they're backpedaling away from the cops. Like, it was absolutely atrocious to see.
That is the conversation that Ange has with him during the week. It's like stand your ground, make the challenge.
Quit being a little bitch. I hope he slaps him around a little bit and says, grow up, man up. Quit being a little weak man that we saw. Oh, you don't have to take a video of me, guys. A little soft ass, weak ass.
If Ange just sits him down and just says, look, this is the reason I'm not picking you, is because you back off that way. It's up to you to do what I want.
I can see him going to Ange's office and be like, I know you don't want to pick me, and you don't have to pick me. But if you did, I'd be happy. Like, shut the my God, I don't care what he does. If he has a hat trick, if he gets a hat trick tomorrow, I don't give a fuck. It is the same energy, Eric Dyer. Good riddance. Hopefully we can get an extra $5 million for you because of the hat trick. That's just, I'm done with him. So done with players like him, that mentality. I tried to stick it out for Ndombele, same thing. Just go. Be happy, greener pastures. What do they say when your parents put down your dog? We've given the dog somewhere to go where there's lots of room to roam. And Eric Dyer, we need to figure out how to get you there, my friend. But big up Archibald says 2-1 Spurs. Bald Bean Counter says Spurs, Son, Johnson, and for Wolves, Hwang Hee-chan, Spurs 2-1. That's a great, I could see that absolutely being the case. Neil Shafton, big up. Those aren't score predictions. Score predictions. Bobby K says 2-0 Spurs, Sonny and Johnson. Love to see it. Ange Ball 3-2 Spurs win. As I said earlier in the chat, hashtag Coys. Big up Ange Ball. Love to see that one as well. Sahara says 2-1 Son and Kulisevsky. Neil Shafton's got Dyer with a header. Love to see that. Fans should kiss Dyer's ass if he comes good, says Edward Wyvoz. No, just like with Daniel Levy, one great summer doesn't negate all the bullshit you done put me through. That's just what it is.
But again, for both cases, if they come good and stay good, there's a road back for them. But if they,
we need time.
Exactly.
Do it for a sustained period, and then maybe I'll talk nicely to you, Dyer. How about that? Ange Ball, Sonny with a brace, Lo Celso with a late winner. He's got Lo Celso with a late. This man can't even pass it accurately. He can't cross it. He can't shoot it, but he gonna get a game winner. I love to see it, Ange Ball. The hype is real.
That's that kind of hot take that if it actually comes about, you brag about it.
Yeah. No, you know, there was an Arsenal fan in my chat last week that was like, Nicholas Jackson's going to hit a hat trick on you. And I remember pulling it up and be like, haha, look at this loser. And then, you know, the football gods made me eat that one. So Ed M says 3-2 Suns, Johnson, Valise to get his first goal. Alejo Valise, talk to me nicely. Orale way, get in the net. I would love to see it. Ellie says 1-2 for Spurs. I said 2-2 earlier, but I think we can win as we are going all out to prove we are no one's seconds. I like that. We are not the bridesmaids this time around. Big up Nita. Dyer and Davies will visit the pitch. Hey, we'll be interesting to see that. Please keep Vicario. Yeah, let's wrap him up nice and tight. Look, Jacob, you have to believe. I do believe. I'm going to go ahead and give you my score predictions and my goal scores, and we're going to say goodbye. For me, big up everyone who's still here. 2 hours in. If you're watching on playback, big up yourself. Keep hitting that like. We did hit 100 during the live stream, so big up, and thank you so much for everyone who helped hit the 100 likes during the show. I see this being – I like George's prediction of this going to be a little bit open for us as well as them. We're going to go at them. I think we're going to create a lot of team goal chances and defend from the front. I don't think we're going to be as giving as a lot of people think we will be defensively. I think we're going to afford them chances. We, on average, I think 2 to 3 big chances allowed every single match this Premier League. So there's no reason to believe it'd be anything different. I actually think we're going to allow more chances than on average because of the shifting in the back line. But I think Vicario is going to have a hell of a game. I think he's going to have a bunch of saves. I think he's going to be the madman we've been falling in love with all season. And I see Sonny getting a goal. I see Papa Matasar getting a goal and Brennan Johnson opening his account as well. So I'm going 3-1 Tottenham Hotspur, and I'm saying Wolves score 1, and they're going to get a few opportunities here and there, and Vicario is just going to be the madman. I think he's going to be the MVP of that match. I think he's going to be standing on his head because we will allow them. Hwang Hee-chan, lest we forget, I think he has 6 goals and 2 assists on the season. He has 8 goal contributions in a Wolves side that a lot of people just brush under the rug. So for me, I think he's absolutely going to be the one who scores for Wolves, but
so one thing we can all unanimously agree on is we're going top of the league tomorrow, lads.
We're top of the. Get back to where we belong, boys. Look, I've heard if we lose and certain teams win, how different the tables change. But again, they ain't got a crystal ball. They can't tell me what is a final, what is absolute and what is not. All right, we'll wait to see tomorrow. We are
just imagine worst case scenario that we end up with more injuries.
I'm not going to imagine that because I like to believe what I imagine and feel I help manifest. And what I'm manifesting is 3 fucking points for the lads, Heung-min Son, to get back to scoring. That's what I think. But also I want to say we are 12 hours and 15 minutes till kickoff.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's fucking right. I got to wake up in less than 12. I haven't even made dinner, eaten dinner. Look, but I'm going to leave it there. The show has been immense. We've had over 120 average for most of the show. There's still 100 of y'all in the chat right now. So big up yourself. Hit the like if you forgot to or haven't or chose not to. Go ahead and hit it. Why not? You've been here this long listening. 154 votes. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll there. Says, what's your prediction for Wolves tomorrow? 68% says Spurs win despite all of the setbacks. And I love that. Y'all talking to me nicely indeed. But I want to say big up to everybody who has been in the chat. Big up Ellie, the queen of Tottenham. She one of our own. Spurs ladies says, I just fell asleep on the sofa, woke up and saw Jacob was streaming and said, hey, rather than going to bed. I'll join the beautiful chat. Big up, Ellie. Appreciate you joining. Whether late, it is still great. So appreciate you being here. Edward Y of Oz here. NCCP joining in late, but he's still here. Roy's here as well. Big up, Roy. 4 a.m. for Pacific time. Neil, my guy, I don't know. I might just have to stay up late if that was me, but I'm going to bed early. But I still might be streaming FIFA. So again, go subscribe to Jacob TV. It's not in the title, so I didn't make it easy for you, but you can find the channel if you want to find it. And we'll be doing some FIFA content later on tonight. Pro Clubs Division 1. We've been cool over there. So if you're into that kind of thing, come say hello. But big up every single person who has time to. Jamie gets here. He's late, but make sure you smash a like and hit a subscribe. Jordan, is there anything you want to say to the people before you go? Final thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
No, man. Just look. Hope, lads, we get 3 points tomorrow. That's all that's important. And after that, a nice 2 weeks away from football where we can hopefully have someone come back from injury. Man, I'm praying, but yeah. Just looking forward to the game tomorrow, man.
Hell yeah. Kuva, any final words or anything you want to plug other than 3 Spurs Boys? Obviously, go subscribe to 3 Spurs Boys. Very close to 1K. But yeah, anything you want to...
We're doing, Bobby K and I, we're going to do a show tomorrow evening where it's purely spot the ball. So we're not going to bother with football whatsoever. It's just comedy stuff.
What if we win 7-0 and you're not going to talk about it?
No. No, rules is rules.
I thought expectations should change and fluctuate based on circumstances, like we were talking about almost 2 hours ago, Kuva.
Look, if we win 7-0, one of my arms is going to be too exhausted to do much some of them place.
Love it, Kuva. Big up, Ali says, can't wait for Kuva and the Kang tomorrow. Jordan, Bobby, please put your channel link in the comments so everyone go subscribe and help them boys get over to 1K. But Bobby even says, hell no football, says on the thumbnail, can't change now. Look, hey, I appreciate the
last thought for me as well is end of the day, we've got problems at the moment with suspensions and injuries. Big part of football is overcoming adversity. We've been doing pretty well at it this season generally. We've been doing our working wonders under Ange, and I don't see any reason to doubt that now. I think we'll find a way.
I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said, Kuva. And big up James Paratrooper says Jordan was excellent and very thoughtful. He should come on the show more often. Jordan, the people loved you. I enjoyed you. Thank you very much for taking some time out of your schedule to come over here and chat Spurs with us. I do appreciate it. I really do. So without further ado, I am going to be sending you on over to Footy Judge Mo. Go ahead and hit a like and subscribe over there. He's still going. Some more late night entertainment for those of you in the UK or in the US. Not sure how much longer he's going to be going, but make sure you say hi, hit a like, and subscribe on all that good stuff. There's the link for 3 Spurs Boys. Help them get to 1K. They are on the road. They are just as close to 1K as we are to glory. So let's help them get there. Let's take that final step together. But big up, Bobby K. And thank you again, Jordan, for joining. Let me say goodbye, and thank you again, Mia, if you were watching this in the morning, 2 hours in still. First of all, good morning, Mia. Hope you're having a great, fantastic day. But thanks again for the first super chat of the day. Shout out Cal L Agent using his membership chat, member for 2 months, and Neil Shafton with the other super chat of the day. Big up, Neil Shafton. Thank you so much for that. $4.99 dono. Very, very nice indeed. But look, we are about 2 hours, about 12 hours away from kickoff. I am frothing. I am so happy. I am so ready. But without further ado, I'm just going to say, stay blessed, stay fresh, up the lads every single fucking time, and come on, you Spurs. Kuva?
Spurs of America with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.